Hello, I'm Petra Goodband.
And I'm Kevin Dare.
The last few years have been difficult and strange. The current pandemic, debates surrounding various aspects of the decision to withdraw from the European Union, even the way we discuss things using Twitter, Facebook, and other social media have all had the potential to create divisions.
And yet at the same time, we've seen the people of Knighton and the surrounding area come together in many ways. The number of volunteers who have come forward, not just in the face of coronavirus, but also in the floods of last winter, have been truly amazing.
So, what's it like living in and around Knighton? What attracts people to the area? And what effect has the past few years had on us all?
Petra, you spent most of your adult life in this area, so you probably have a different view of things from me. I've just a newcomer from Cardiff.
I expect so, but you have just put down roots and bought a house in Knighton, so you must like the place.
Well, that's true. I can't think of anywhere else I'd want to live at this time, and I expect to spend the rest of my life here. I think that's why this question about living in Knighton interests me so much.
Not only you. Some of us had the idea of collecting as many video and audio clips as possible to demonstrate the diversity of people living in the area.
And the result is this video. Of course, this one short video can't include everything, but through the hard work of many people, we've managed to get the views of a good cross-section of Knighton residents. Some born here, some from off, young and not so young, different ethnic backgrounds, cultures and genders.
As you say, one short video cannot do justice to such an issue, but we made this in the hope that it would start a wide-ranging conversation about life in our town. So if anyone watching this wants to share their stories, then join the conversation on our website or through Facebook.
Well, that's enough from us for now. Let's hear what others have to say.
I actually grew up in Llangantlo. I'm a Llangantlo girl, born and bred. I did spend a lot of my childhood in Knighton. My grandparents were both in Knighton, and I think I spent most of my time with my grandmother when she worked and everything, and I loved it living in Knighton, and that's why I am still here.
Like I said, I lived on Laurel's Meadow, so it was a nice estate to live on. Lots of kids on the estate, and we could all kind of play out until the lights came on, sort of thing. It was safe.
You had plenty of freedom. There was no sort of parents didn't have to worry about us. We'd be out all day in the summer, well, all day, most any good weather.
Mum used to hate the fact that I'd be like, Mum, can this person come to the house, please? Can this person come to the house? Every day after school, someone would have to come to the house to play on the estate. And
Mum and Dad never knew where we were. And there was like a gang of us on the estate, so it's sort of, we were all sort of stuck together, but there was no sort of worries about our safety.
My mum and me used to live here when I was a baby, and we just wanted to move back.
I came to Knighton in 1958 to start a chartered accountant's business. I bought a large part of the Swan Hotel garden, put a bridge over the Cwm Brook opposite the Horse and Jockey, and erected that fine office building, now the Town Vets.
When I retired, I just decided that I needed peace and quiet. I've had enough of the rough and tumble of business world and the glitz of London, and and the anxiety of living in Surrey.
I used to live, well, I've lived in all sorts of places, but just prior to this, I had been living in London for quite a while and wanting to move out for quite a while, but never quite managing to do it. And then it came up that Angie needed to move. My partner Angie and I decided we would try and live together, and Knighton was a bit of a compromise. She was living in the middle of a sort of isolated bit of North Norfolk. I was in the middle of London. I refused to move to another city. she refused to move to another isolated spot in the countryside. So Knighton kind of seemed, yeah, it was a compromise. It was like you can get out easily, but there are people around, and you're within easy walking distance.
So we had a look around, and because we visited Knighton a couple of times, and we thought, actually, I know the perfect place to go to. Let's go to Knighton. And yeah, we started looking around, and we saw this house that we're in now. And so we were like, yeah, Knighton is the perfect place to live in. So we bought a house here.
At that time, I worked for Boots, and I used to be in Newtown. And then an opportunity came up in Boots in Knighton, and I was asked if I would take that. And I visited the town before I accepted that. And it was a small little town, very quiet on a Sunday afternoon when we visited for the first time, I remember. And I just came after a week after that. And that was it really, purely for work.
I moved to Knighton in April 2011. I came here from Milton Keynes after my wife passed away a few years earlier. I had no idea of what I was going to do, as I was still coming to understand myself being transgender, having spent most of my life denying the truth of who I am. Shortly after moving here, I chose to volunteer with Knighton and District Community Support Charity, believing that it would be a good way to get to know people in town. Whilst there, I found people to be friendly and helpful.
So currently I am an advanced practitioner and a prescriber, which enables me to see a certain cohort of patients with, there could be any cohort which you are trained in. It's a specialist training which you do, and then you're able to manage those patients' conditions by working in collaboration with their GP, their consultants, their nurses, and other GP surgery staff, and any consultants if they see any consultants, and then manage their medication. So I see them adjust their doses, adjust their medication, whatever needs doing, because I am an independent prescriber, which means whichever area of clinical practice I prescribe and train and practice in, I can sort of look after those patients pretty much independently. And if I need to, I can refer them forward as well.
Roedd fy ngŵr i'n vicar yn Nyfnaint, ac roedden ni'n byw mewn vicar du. Felly, pan wnaethon ni ymddeol, roedd rhaid i ni brynu ein tŷ ein hunain. Roedd y tai yn Nyfnaint yn rhy ddrud, felly dyma ni yn Treffer Claf.
Because we've always lived in the area within like Powys, we lived in Radnor, then Naples. Knighton just seemed to be the place where you sort of got, it's not too busy, it's still a quiet sort of family area, but at the same time, you've got the shops nearby, so you don't have to necessarily travel out every single day just to get like the basics.
I kept coming back to the house and I kept looking at it, and one day we did actually drove down and look at the house, and we more or less fell in love, and we had a walk around, fell in love with the area, and it's so beautiful around here. So yeah, we made the decision to buy it, and that was about almost 12 years ago.
I ended up in Knighton by accident, actually. My dear beloved mother moved here in about 92, and obviously being in a horrible inner city area, once my mum was gone, I decided I could not stay there, so I ended up in Knighton by accident, really, because I followed my mum.
So I've seen a shop on the website, and I've been looking at it for a few years, and I decided to come to see Knighton. I came here after a 4.5-hour drive from Essex area, and I just literally fell in love with the area. There's so nice people and that around the area, and the time when I came, it was sunny weather. I liked the shop, and I put an offer in straight away. And after that, when I came to visit a couple of times as well, and the place was absolutely awesome. So going down the walks, up in the mountains, the streams, the waterways, rail tracks. So that attracted me to Knighton, as well as the scenery, and it was different compared to where I came from. That was up in Essex. So that was one of the things that brought me to Knighton.
The original answer to that really is that we were looking to move from Wolverhampton, where we've been living, wanted to go to somewhere slightly more rural, and we've been looking around Shropshire in general without any particular area in mind. Then a house came on the market here in Knighton. So we thought we'd come and have a look at it. And we arrived one Saturday lunchtime with an hour or two to spare before we were due to view the house. And wandered around town and went into a couple of the cafes and chatted to people. And we just got this immediate impression of it being a really friendly and welcoming town.
I was ordained a priest, a Catholic priest, in 2007. And I have worked already in Nigeria before I came out. First, I went to study in Rome, and then I came over here to the UK, partly because the diocese needed, assistance at that time. And also, I wanted to continue my doctorate degree. And so it was a win-win game that, the diocese needed someone and I was available to come, but at the same time, giving me an opportunity to continue my studies, which I started.
Especially now, during everything, we can go for walks and you're not near to anyone. And you've got some really nice walks around. You've got, say, over the Garth and down into Nuckless. You've got just down the Cwm. That's really nice, just a real gentle walk there. Around the bypass, even if you want to go a little bit further, or then up to Stonewall Hill, up to the observatory.
But I think that particularly Welsh people, and definitely out in rural areas, we have a very go lucky attitude, and you can do anything if you put your heart and your soul into it. And there seems to be a lot of pride, with sometimes to our detriment, but there does seem to be a lot of pride about the work that people do out here, and there seems to be a lot of passion.
People have time. They're never really in a hurry. They can give you time. They step aside so you can pass. They give you room to park your car. They listen to your problems if you have one.
Everyone's really friendly here. Literally, you know everyone. All the new customers, if they ever come in your shop, you know who the new people are and who your old customers are. Also, we've got a lot of regular customers, and everyone's so friendly here. It's like nowhere I've been in England before. I've lived in a lot of places, but this town is totally different, and it's really nice here.
It's really quiet at the moment, maybe because of Corona or maybe, but yeah, it's really nice though. Yeah, it's like my hometown. It's really quiet.
I do love being able to get straight out. Like this morning, I just was able to walk straight out on top of the hills. I mean, that is such a wonderful thing to be able to do, because even though, I would find anywhere to walk in the middle of a city, I would walk, and I'd walk a long way to find somewhere good to walk. But to know that I can just do that, and I'm not I don't have to get on a train or a bus or, just I can, as long as I still am able to do it.
I think the best thing was, we loved the scenery. That was great, moving from a city, and have always been and lived in cities before. So coming to countryside was a bit of a change, bit of adjustment as well. But we did love it. It was beautiful where we lived. Never imagined that I would live in a place where I'll just open my window. There was meadows and hills across, and you can just look at them the first thing when you wake up. So that was brilliant. Loved the community spirit there. We had lovely neighbours, good chatting with them when you're coming back home, leaving the home, and you just say hello and get to know them. They were great with Abdullah as well, my son. He almost became friends with them. He would go over, they would be talking to them hours on end, go with them on walks and stuff. So that was brilliant.
Rydym hoffi'r ysbryd cymunedol Kevin glywed. Deith fy nhw anabl ond dau dim un, a roedd pawb yn barod iawn I helpu. Ffrindiau, cymdogion, cymorth cymunedol, nos addal a fedagfa. Rwy'n hoffi iawn o canolfan cymunedol.
I would struggle to find what I didn't like. So I really like the people. I find the people of Knighton and the district really friendly, helpful, community-minded, fun, I just really think people around here are lovely.
Yeah, it's a beautiful landscape around here. But also the people, really, they're so kind and so welcoming. I can remember coming here from just outside Radar, where we didn't talk to many people, and we were working on the house just after we bought it, and everyone was stopped and everyone chatted to you, and I felt really welcome here. And it's still till today that everyone just stops and have a chat with you.
I like that nature is right on our doorstep. It's a great environment for a family with young kids. People are friendly and helpful, and I don't think that we will move anywhere else in the near future.
The fresh air and the country scenery. I mean, the woodlands. You're now more than 2 minutes away from woodlands and lovely country walks.
It's a close-knit community. Everybody is so friendly. Everybody pulls together when the chips are down. If there's anything that needs to be done, you might see it on social media. The next minute, everybody's fundraising for that certain person or anything. Yeah, it is a close-knit community and the people are so friendly.
I'm very nature person, and the fresh air and nature is really important to me. And as we obviously we good walkers with my husband, so off us Dyke, obviously that was the selling point. I love hiking, and I just lots of my friends were coming, and just I was just taking them to the different routes, Kingsley Woods, and around area. It's really good for walking and seeing nature and being in a nice kind green environment.
And so I find it a lovely place. You meet people who are very welcoming and warm. And for me, that is something beautiful, especially when people are warm to someone, because sometimes when I move around Knighton, I don't see people of the same kind of color with me. And yet, but people are very warm and welcoming.
It takes you hours to do your shopping because you bump into people to have a chat. You can't sort of say, oh, just pop up time for half an hour, because it's never going to be half an hour. Which is really nice, because if you do get into trouble, there are people there to sort of help you out, and there's plenty of groups and things to join. It's just a really nice place to live.
If I had a really magic wand, I'd move it by the seaside, but that's a personal preference.
I think the only thing I would think of changing is the train service. It's like there's like one train in, I don't know, 5 hours. Okay, that's exaggerating, but the public transport is not very user-friendly.
One of the things that I did actually campaign upon as a Welsh Youth Parliament member was our transport access. I think that it is quite disgusting and it's quite terrible watching how we struggle as a community to get access to things that people in the city just take for granted.
I think there are opportunities to make it a more livelier town. I do feel that there needs to be places like for people. I know there are a couple of cafes, but they do feel quite small for a number of people to sit in there. They feel quite squished, and then other things that they're there as well. It feels sometimes a bit of that everyone's got their own following, like certain people goes to this cafe and the other people. I think there needs to be more openness in the town as well. And I would like to see a bit more diversity in Knighton as well. However, we can attract more people from diverse background. I think it'll bring in that depth in the community, which is needed, I think.
I would have a transport system very similar to a taxi, but more like a bus, that you could ring up and say, if say you're living in Knocklas, but you want to come to the carnival in Knighton, you would ring them up and say, well, there's a group of us, we want to get to the carnival, and then you'd get picked up and taken, because we're all a little too reliant on cars. Even though Knighton actually does have everything you need, we've got shops, supermarkets, Really everything you could need is here. But there's lots of events that happen in the district as a whole. So there would be a festival in Nuckless, or there'd be something going on in Bucknell, or, you know, even further afield as far as perhaps Ludlow or Craven Arms. And there's a lot going on.
We could really get a rationale around car use, because a lot of people have cars, and I know it's difficult with public transport, and I know lockdown has encouraged more car use, but if we could get to where we had maybe a fleet of electric cars that was shared and everybody, you know, could have access. And I know it'd be difficult, and we're not there yet, but I think the fact that there are so many cars, there's so many cars parked. I mean, I love it that the kids feel safe playing in Church Street. I would love it if there weren't cars for them to play around, and cars, you know, likely to come, and that's a dream. And it would be lovely if, for example, you know, when the cafes can reopen, if they could put a few chairs out on the street and not worry about things thundering up and down. I know there's agricultural traffic and there's all those things, but that is a big thing, I think.
If I had a magic wand, I would ask more of the villagers, more of people in Knighton to attend their churches, because unless we do that, the church cannot sustain itself. It will always be the poor cousin to everybody, because it's not being nourished.
Hospitals, and a lot of people that have it right now
because of this thing. Okay.
Oh, because of COVID.
I would make it more accessible to all. Since I've been in a wheelchair, I've realised that there are a lot of places I can't get into. A lot of shops. I mean, they're very good in shops. They'll come outside and they will sort of, you know, if I whatever I need, they'll go in and get it. I can't go to the opticians in Knighton. I have to go out of town. I do find that does sort of limit me with my social life, because if there's something on somewhere and I can't get in there, well, yeah, that's it. I can't go in there.
Especially at the moment with sort of lockdown, there's not much to do. But even prior, I think for like younger people, because at the moment, to get to know anyone, the only place I'd say is like pubs, or like sort of, if there were anything social event is like on, like say like the carnival back then, or like the Mayfair, you could sort of get to know people then through like friend groups and all that.
Well, at this moment in time, obviously, the one thing is that it's sad to see the shops and the hotels and you know, the pubs all closed and doing no trade. I think that's detrimental to the health of Knighton in a sense. I know I'm not one for the pubs and all that kind of thing, but it is very sad to see, especially at night now, when you go down the town and the pubs are all blackened out and there's nobody enjoying, you know, a meal, you know, outside the one place where they've got tables and it's empty.
Well, for me personally, I would like to go 200 years back in time when it looked all so picturesque and beautiful. But nowadays, I think it would be lovely to have a more vibrant high street again, or broad street. It's such a shame to see so many buildings empty.
I'll bring a beach. That's the one I always, it's just, I've always thought this town would be amazing with a beach by it. Or somewhere, no, definitely a beach, nice warm sort of, because we have to travel an hour and a half to 2 hours to get to the beach. Yeah. So bringing one closer would be brilliant. Even if a fake one, I wouldn't mind that.
I'm not really sure. I mean, I noticed that it would be nice if people would keep a bit more, you know, to look after the environment a little bit more. I noticed during lockdown, when everyone was out and about, walking in the surrounding area, that the litter has increased a lot, and I would like that some dog owners might take their bags with dog food back home. But
I think, like everywhere, Knighton has got its cliques, not as badly as some places, and I think you know, that's something everybody has to, you know, crossing divisions and talking to people that maybe, you know, not the people you really want to talk to. There's somebody down the road, but, you know, so I think relationships and all of that is probably, you know, if we could cross some of the, because there are some divides, and I'm very aware that there's a lot of people I don't know. It's 3,000 is a lot of people to try and know, and we can't know everybody, but I'm aware there's a lot of people I don't know, or I don't know much about their lives and what would make things better for them or not, or
obviously we need commerce, and that's what it needs to stimulate this situation, to bring younger people into the society, and a different, diverse set of people. All my friends are farmers, so I'm not saying anything against farmers, but what I'm saying, it's not diverse enough.
Rhaid I ni groesawu pawb, gwrando ar bawb, parchu pawb. Byddai'n dda I gael gyfarfodydd yn agored I gynrychu olwyr y grwpiau I gyd yn y dre, mwyn casglu syniadau I wella y dre gyfer pawb.
I would argue that lots of it does fall down to people in power, so town council over the general public. I'm always an advocate that there should be, I love charities, I think that they're brilliant and they're amazing, but it should not fall to the generosity of the general public to sort out things that are actually people's jobs. For instance, you know, the town council, it's its role to look after the people of Knighton, and I don't think that the general public should have to look after that.
And also another thing would be the hospital. Keep Knighton Hospital open.
I think it is just a question of taking everything on face value. So if something's being run for the good of the community, just take that on face value and enjoy it, and then use it. You know, it is a classic expression, isn't it? Use it or lose it.
Roedd i ni wella realaeth I dre, mae gennym cymaint o botensial, ond nid addyn yn gwneud y gorau ohoni. Mae gennym siopau gwyllt, relfwrs, clawdd a canolfan offer, eglisiau a canolfan gymunedol. Hefyd, mae gwasanaethu bobl ifanc yn wael iawn, dim clwb iantus, a mae'n rhaid iddyn nhw deithio hys yn hyn i'r chweched dosbarth.
I did feel the need of acceptance of a diverse background a little bit more since I've been living in Powys compared to when I've lived in London, for example. And I understand that. I mean, it's still not that culturally diverse, but and it will come with time. It's just that we need more exposure, perhaps, to more diverse backgrounds.
Because I'm going to the cafe, I used to go to the cafe on Tuesdays. I was exposed to all this information. But when I was talking to, like, you know, some of my friends about the flick and stick, about the films, about the Pilates classes, what's going on in community center, they weren't aware about it. And it's lots of nice things happening. And it seems to be, maybe now I've seen the leaflet that it's going around. So maybe we can just do some advertisement about it.
I just think that if people are more aware of what groups and activities and that are going on, because sometimes it's quite difficult to sort of, you know, you might think, oh, I would like to join a group, but you don't really know where to go to find a list group.
During COVID, of course, I've been doing some delivery work for I do some cooking for the lunch club. I've been doing delivery work for the young lunch club, and that's been great to meet some of the people, particularly some of the old Knightonians that have lived here all their lives.
I've got a lot of friendship networks with the cafe now. with my district nursing friends, who I still keep in touch, and I love them all to bits, and I do miss working with them. And also, I've still got friends that I grew up with in primary school. One of my primary school friends is my best friend.
And to be honest, all my friends are from school or college.
You would say, of course, my first constituency would be the church. And so most of the people I meet and interact with are, people from around the church or within the church. But I've also, developed friendship with a few other people outside of the church circle.
What was quite nice is when the lockdown was, I joined the Soup from the Hut project, which was really nice. I've actually been more social during lockdown than I normally am.
I've got enough to, it's nice to have a friend who can help you sometimes, and they can call on you. So yes, I've got a nice select group, we'll say. Hopefully, I mean, you can never say never. Obviously, I've been here 20 odd years now, 28 years maybe, 27 years. So I've been in Knighton longer than I've been anywhere else. So, I consider it my home. And whenever I go away, I always I like to get back and see the hills of Knighton. And I do, I love Knighton, and I've settled in quite well here. I've had no problems here. And I can't see me wanting to leave unless, I have to, of course. But so, as far as I know, I will be, but you never quite know.
The careers we want are impossible to achieve here, and we want to live somewhere where the whole town doesn't know everything about us. Not only is there nothing to do here, but also no privacy. Everyone knows each other's business, and it can be uncomfortable. Personally, we wouldn't want our children to have to grow up here.
I wouldn't say there's no better place, but I would say I'm very, very comfortable. And the word outsider or from off, I don't feel that ever.
I have lived in Knighton since I got married 62 years ago, and have loved every minute. Nothing will ever make me leave. And in fact, I've already got my plot paid for in the Prestine Road Cemetery, on top of my wife who is buried at double depth. There is nothing that will make me change my mind.
Things change, health changes, or family commitments might change, but we see at the moment, we see absolutely no reason to move.
I think, personally, no, I wouldn't see myself. And the only thing behind that would be is I think there are some other places, even local, similar to Knighton, family friendly, that are a bit more accepting. Not all, but some aren't as accepting to sort of different races. And I have realised quite a bit of sort of people make differences, and in a small town or like a small community, if they're not as open, and nowadays obviously it's getting there's more races coming in and joining from different places. I've always been obviously accepted because I'm Hungarian myself, but I think that it's not as fast traveling here. Like, they don't, how can I word it? They're not as accepting that I think some other places might be that are more used to it. So personally, because even growing up, I had a couple of issues with this. I think I'd like to go to a place that would be a bit more accepting of that. So say if I have my own family in the future, they would have an easier life in a way.
I don't have any immediate plans to leave Powys. I absolutely love living here. I love working with Powys Health Board. People are very understanding. They love my my passion for the services I deliver and the job I do. And yeah, I wouldn't just want to leave because for any other reason, unless it's a meaningful move. I'm that kind of person that it's not just like I will just move.
I've lived here all my life. I've had 6 years away when I did my nurse training in the Midlands, 3 years in West Brom, 3 years in Dudley, but I became homesick and I came back home to live, and this will be where I'll retire and spend the rest of my life.
To the end of my life. I mean, I'm never going to move away from my grandkids. I'm never going to move away from my family, and you know, it's just, yeah.
I'm not going anywhere. No way. Yeah, I'm not going anywhere. You're going to take me out in a box.